to the Slimecast. How's it going?
Yeah, no, I'm doing really, really well, thank you. I was kind of expecting a little bit of a drum roll, but doesn't matter. I'm just pleased to be here.
Nice. Well, we're happy to have you here on the Slimecast. Always happy to get different people to bring different perspectives and stuff.
Yeah, no, I'm very pleased you asked me to be a part of it from all the way across in the UK. I hope you guys are dealing with my accent okay.
Yeah, it's all good.
Yeah, it's fine.
Oh, that's good. Good.
So basically, we don't really have to talk about much. It's just mostly going to be about, like I said, nostalgia, video games, game collecting, stuff like that. And well, we already have a few topics written down. You don't really have to since you're the guest of honor. So the questions are more or less going to be towards you.
Okay.
But it's going to be a slight mix of just general topics and topics toward you.
Yeah, but
Okay.
any topics you have that you want to throw in, feel free. 100%.
Okay, fantastic. Like I'm very good at old games, things like that. It's just very modern stuff. I have a pretty limited knowledge of,
Yeah.
but that's great.
Definitely, and we cover modern and retro, so we definitely, we're gonna be able to get along on the retro stuff. Definitely.
Yeah,
No, that's good. That's good.
Definitely. So, what's everyone been up to recently? We'll start off. What's everyone been up to? Guess you can go first.
Oh, I can go first. That's good. I've been working a lot. Family commitments and things like that. And obviously I've been spending a lot of time with my new Instagram account. That's going very well. And
Nice.
obviously, the covers that I do, and I've been getting some great feedback from them. So it's been all positive, really.
Nice. Instagram's good for promotion and stuff through the hashtags and everything. It's good for marketing.
Yeah,
yeah,
no.
definitely.
It's a huge help because it's nice because you put all the hashtags on and stuff, and each post it brings people in. Then you get the link to the YouTube channel and stuff. It's just it really is helpful.
Yeah, no, definitely. To be fair, I'm so out of the loop. I even struggled to know how Instagram was working properly, and I really had to get my head around it. But once I did and got the hashtags sorted out and things like that, I was amazed at the sort of response and the community out there, associated with different things that were just ready to engage with you at every opportunity.
Right, definitely, and I think for the type of things you're making, people just get excited when it's something that somebody made. Plus, the people who are really into the Super Nintendo collecting, it's something that somebody made and it pertains to them. So it just makes a lot of excitement. People really want to engage.
Yeah, no, definitely. I've been blown away by the sort of response I've been getting, so it's been all good.
Nice. Hopefully it keeps growing for you.
Thanks.
No problem. Nostalgia, what have you been up to recently?
I've well, game wise, I've been trying to fix this original Xbox controller, but other than that, I've just been really, focusing on myself, going to the pool a lot, working out, whatever. But besides
Nice.
all that, I've just been working with this. I've been working with this fidgety original Xbox controller that I definitely have to get fixed or replaced with a new one. But yeah, everything's all right basically.
Yeah, repairing electronics. It's sometimes it goes good and you're impressed with yourself. Other times you can't get the dang thing back together and you just give up, throw it in a box in the closet. Or maybe that's just me.
Well, that's the thing. I'm trying to play these two games. I plan on getting a video out about them soon, but I can't because the freaking controller's broken.
You might just, I think at this point, you might just have to bite the bullet and buy a new one.
Yeah, it's like I called up my local store. They don't even have original Xboxes in stock. So I'm thinking either I go for a shitty third party controller or I scout through eBay and find the original first party controller.
Yeah, I think eBay, that might be the way to go. Just buy a legitimate one. Probably only be 20 something, I'm guessing. But who knows?
Yeah,
It's the rising prices on everything.
yeah. Things are going crazy, especially on the GameCube side.
Oh yeah, no, yeah, GameCube prices have absolutely skyrocketed. I mean, I'm quite lucky because I have a complete full GameCube collection of every single game, boxed with manuals, etc., etc. And a few days ago, I heard about a full GameCube collection that was selling on eBay. So I checked it out, and I actually looked back at some of the prices that I paid for things, and this guy in this one listing, he was going on about how he got the original Gadget Racers boxed with its manual, and independently it sells for several £100s. And I think I bought mine for maybe £10 at the time, and now it's you can't even buy one on eBay. It's that rare. So
Yeah, it's crazy how fast those prices go up. You look back at what you paid only a few years prior at most, and it's just crazy how it skyrockets.
Yeah.
Especially with some of the limited edition things, I always find that Nintendo limited editions, they put them up on their Club Nintendo store or whatever, and they sell out, and there's never another run of them. And then within a few months, the eBay price of those has really gone up.
Yeah, definitely. It just you get some of that rail stuff. It's like you feel like you got to get in early and buy it, but sometimes you don't even get the chance. Like it's just gone immediately. Like day one, it's already rail and expensive. It's just the fun of the hobby.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, nostalgia. Why don't you start us off with your first topic?
All right. Well, I guess let's see. Okay, so patience. I know I just mentioned my broken original Xbox controller, right? And I plan on putting a video out on these two games. Unfortunately, all my retro store has is just like second generation stuff like that. Atari 2600,
Yeah.
the Fairchild channel. And it's weird how they found all this stuff, but it doesn't really matter. But like I feel like I have to be patient, find the right thing. Like I'm thinking, God, man, I might as well just put down an original Xbox for a few months and pick up another system like the Dreamcast. Oops, looks like they just sold out on the Dreamcast. Or okay, looks like there's no Dreamcast. I haven't played the Game Boy in like 15 years. Might as well see if they got with Game Boys. They want $80 for a Game Boy SP. Uh, that's kind of ridiculous. I mean, I understand it, but come on now, $70 for a Game Boy. And the point I'm trying to get at is patience. When something's broken and you want to play something, and you're just like you want to play something else, you just gotta wait. Be patient, calm down. I guess. Like, do you guys have any experience with that?
I apologize. I missed the first little bit when you were explaining the topic just because my microphone unplugged, so I had to mess with the settings for a second. The topic is like times where you've had to be patient because of prices, right? In game collecting.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So I've been patient for a long time because I've been working on a Super Nintendo collection, a full collection since 1992 when I got my first Super Nintendo. And I've been buying games gradually ever since then, and I'm up to I still need to get 30 games. That's all I've got left before I've got every single game in the Super Nintendo library that came out in Europe. So I think there's no one that knows more about patience than me waiting, probably 92, nearly 30 years to get every game that I actually wanted. But just this week, I was able to get 3 of the Dragon Ball Z games that came out in Europe, just in France only. And I was waiting and waiting for the right ones to come up on eBay. And finally, someone listed some on an auction, and I was lucky enough to win them at a decent price, and they arrived the other day. And that feeling when you've been waiting for something and then you finally get it, there's nothing like it.
Yeah, and definitely, like, I think in your case especially, like, building up the collection over time and getting the games in different ways, each piece has more meaning and it feels more meaningful in the long run versus somebody who, bought most of it in 1 year off eBay or something.
Exactly. The way that I've bought games has changed so much over the years. I used to buy the majority of my games, other than initially when I first got my Super Nintendo and my parents would buy me, some new games here and there. I'd buy them from what we have in the UK, which is car boot sales. I don't think you have anything like that in America, like a garage sale, but everyone rocks up to one area, with things in the back of their cars for sale, and literally they're just selling things out of the back of their cars in a big car park.
Yeah,
And
we kind of have something like that here, like a flea market kind of. I'm guessing.
Yeah. So you used to go down there pre-eBay, pre the internet, and you'd find someone selling say a Super Nintendo, and the story was always the same. It was a lady, and a husband, and they'd say, "Oh, my son's gone off to university, so I'm selling some of his things," and they'd have this beautiful Super Nintendo there with boxed games, and they wouldn't have a clue how much it was worth, and they'd say £20 for the lot, £10 or $10, $20 for the lot, and you'd take it home and you'd be so happy. But now, because of eBay and everyone's prices, you'd go to something like that and everyone's been on eBay beforehand and they've seen what things sell for. So the first words out of their mouth is always the same. It's, "I've been on eBay, I've seen it this much money, and I want this much money for it." So things have definitely changed in how you actually collect games and are able to actually buy them for a decent price.
Yeah, it's because, like, I think everyone's aware of, like, those crazy times where it's like, oh, somebody sold a game and it was worth thousands of bucks. So now anybody who sees a great cartridge, in the back of their mind, they just pull out their phone and it's like, well, I should probably just check just in case.
Yes.
But the people who they charge eBay prices like at a garage sale or a sale in person, but the eBay price, part of that's the convenience of eBay. But the fact that you're going to the place, like, it shouldn't be as expensive as eBay.
No, definitely. They're going to a place like that to sell things and get cash in their hand now, and no returns or anything like that. There's no way they can expect, just because they once saw a copy of Mario Brothers sell for $50 or whatever, that was nice in its box, where they can expect to get $50 for their unboxed Mario Brothers.
Right, definitely. 'Cause it plays into that patience too. It's like, if you're impatient, you'll pay a little bit more on eBay, but the fact that you put in time and everything to go there, you expect some kind of deal. Plus, I mean, if it doesn't work, it's not like you can return it like you could on eBay.
Exactly.
But nostalgia, you got any examples of patience?
Yeah, right now. So like I said, I'm tired of this original Xbox. The controller's broken. I'm getting irritated. Now I'm just waiting for them to get a Sega Dreamcast in stock, because I have good memories with the Sega Dreamcast, so I figure why not pick it up. But
Nice.
right now I'm just rotating between an original Xbox, GameCube, and N64. But now I just gotta wait. be patient, and wait till they get a Sega Dreamcast in stock. Cause well, yeah, my original Xbox collection is basically shot because no controller, no game. So I'm just kind of stuck with PlayStation and Nintendo for right now.
I have a friend in the same boat. Xbox original broke, kinda. So now it's also a situation where it's just, well, there's nothing you can do. You can't play any of these games.
Yeah, but I would say another example. Well, this is when I like started collecting. Well, not necessarily collecting, but I wanted to get a Switch for my birthday, and this is when the Switch first came out, started selling out. And then I'm like, damn, I really want a Nintendo Switch. I keep on seeing it on Instagram. I keep on seeing my friends play it. It just keeps on selling out. And then I call up my local Target. Hey, you got a Switch in stock? They're just like, yeah, we have a few in stock. I rush over there as fast as I can. I get it. And man, it was one of the, well, I wouldn't say one of the greatest experiences I've ever had, but just getting a Switch for the first time and hooking it up and playing with it, it was a great experience.
Yeah, definitely. Like, it's more of a unique experience, kind of, compared to what we've seen before.
Yeah, like the Switch itself, it's really different. So when you play it for the first time, it's gonna feel great. Hooking it up to your TV for the first time, hooking up the Joy Cons, it's just
Yeah.
great.
Oh, it's just exciting too. Like whenever you get something new, it's just exciting to take it out of the packaging and mess with it.
Yeah, actually, I wish I still had the video to this day, but I actually live stream on Instagram unboxing the Switch.
Yeah.
But I guess. Well, do you want me to pick up the next topic, or do you guys want to keep on going on this one?
Well, I'll go into the patience thing real quick. I don't really have any topic, but well, game collecting related patience thing. I'll just say I used to think I was a patient person, but if a web page takes more than 5 seconds to load, I become very impatient. I'm starting to question my patience as time goes on. I think the internet has spoiled us all. Where we can get so much so quick that if something takes more than a split second, it feels like it's taken forever.
Do you think we'd all have better patience if we were all forced to play the Commodore 64 for a
Yeah,
while and have the 30-minute loading of a tape?
yeah, I think we'd all be extremely patient then. Or at least if you made everyone have to read a book in their lifetime.
Oh yeah, so I recently gotten into this book, The Artificial Art of Not Giving a Fuck.
Yeah.
Okay, I haven't I haven't really read an official real book in a while. I always read books on my phone or whatever, but it's weird. Like reading like real books. I know it sounds like a Gen C type thing, but it it honestly feels great. Like holding a real book in your hands, just literally reading and stuff. It's awesome.
I like the idea of reading a book, and I and holding it is like the most like appealing like way to do it. And I have a whole bookshelf full of books, but I'd be lying if I said that I read them. I know how, but the internet and media, the attention span to read a book is difficult to find those hours. Plus, I have a backlog of movies, let alone books, so. Nostalgia, I one day I will experience what you're experiencing, but I haven't read a book since school.
Well, I mean, to be honest, I honestly, some days I just don't feel like reading at all, but I feel like I got to get on my 30 minutes of reading. And the best way to do it is as soon as you wake up, get your breakfast in, get in all that, and just sit down, no games, no nothing. Just read a book for 30 minutes straight. I know that's tough to do. It's tough for me to do it, but it's honestly good for your health and all that. I don't mean to sound like a fucking nerd or a teacher, but reading is good, kids. Do it. It's a good thing.
It definitely is. I hadn't read for a while, and then I had children, and then all of a sudden you've got all of these books that they want to read, and you're just doing a little bit every day with them, and they're picking it up, and they're learning, and they're just hanging on every word you say, just like you two guys are obviously doing with me. And it's a great feeling, having that kind of like, those two little, eyes looking at you and that audience just taking in what you're saying from that book. It means a lot, actually. It's reignited my love for reading, even though it's only children's books at the moment.
Well, it was the kids too. It's like it's almost the perfect audience, kind of, because you can create all the tones and stuff and really give them the full book experience, which books all about putting your own input and imagination in.
Yeah.
Again, I like the idea of reading a book, and I own many. I've spent a lot of money on books, and one day there will be 2 decades of rainy days, and YouTube will go away, and I can finally read a book again. One day. I think YouTube is the problem. Specifically, YouTube itself is too distracting for me. There's always something to watch.
Yeah, that's always the problem with me. Like it's weird. Whenever I am reading, I'm like, huh, maybe somebody posted something on Instagram, or
Right.
maybe that game system has a stain on it. Maybe I should clean it up, or maybe I need to play some PSP a little bit. I really just want to do something. And I guess like reading kind of is a motivation, because as soon as those 30 minutes are up, I'm like, okay, I'm gonna do this and that, and this and that, and this and that. Reading is good.
I agree. It is good, but reading is probably like it's probably the best form of media consumption, because it really is like quiet and peaceful, and you can completely focus on one thing and also like really use the brain to be creative and stuff.
Yeah.
Well, that was our topic on reading books, and that stops us from reading them.
All right. Haytham, you want to do the next topic?
Yeah. Well, this topic is kind of general in a way, I would say, but it pertains very well to our guest, as you will know in a second. What would you say, like, kind of the key differences are that you might have noticed with collecting in the United Kingdom or Europe in general compared to America? And like, because obviously, like, most of the content creators in the game collecting community, at least the big ones, tend to bring an American perspective. So I was kind of wondering, like, what's the difference in the culture and stuff with collecting in the United Kingdom?
The difference in the culture. I'm not sure really. I think in the UK it's probably a little easier to collect in the PAL territories, just because we got less games. I think when you look at like the Super Nintendo, which I collect for all Nintendo systems, but the Super Nintendo probably had 450-ish PAL games, whereas in America, you're probably looking at 700-800. So it's a lot easier to collect for systems in that respect. But then when you actually look at the price of games is astronomically higher in the UK and Europe compared to America. It hurts every time I look on eBay for certain games, and you can see the exact same game, probably a better version of the game because it's running in 60 hertz instead of 50 on American eBay for a few dollars, yet over here in the UK it's 10-20 times as much as that.
Well, that difference in the speed that it runs probably means you can't bring the games over to unless you have an American TV too, right?
Yeah, I mean, all modern TVs, it's not that big a deal. I mean, even back in the day, I had a Super Nintendo that had a 50, 60 hertz switch on it. It was just, it was just a region lockout, really. So, yeah.
Well, I know one difference I've definitely seen talked about and stuff with over in Europe versus America. I know you guys have a much bigger retro computer scene compared to us.
Yeah, no, I'd say, maybe. I don't really know what the scene's like over there, but there are like retro computing bars in the UK that you can go to where they've got kind of like loads of systems set up and things like that. It's it's a very popular thing to do nowadays.
Yeah, I've definitely noticed like it seems like at least for a certain amount of time, like retro consoles and stuff like the Atari and so on, kind of from the Atari to early Nintendo Entertainment System, Europe had more of a computer scene, which is carried on. Like we do have a retro computer scene here in America, but I've definitely seen it be bigger over in Europe. Like I think it's just more. Well, I think computers and gaming was more bigger at a certain time, so the collecting scene now is bigger in Europe for that.
Okay, yeah. Like I say, I'm mainly Nintendo stuff, so kind of like the early computer things and Atari, etc. Obviously, I know about them and different things, but my house is only so big,
Right. Yeah, retro computers are cool, but you got to get a monitor and stuff. And like you, there's no way. There's not enough room now.
Yeah, like I have ran out of shelf space so many times, and I keep having to build new shelves. I actually had to have an extension put on my house just for my games room. Yeah, and even now with that extension, it's pretty full in here. So
yeah, people talk about money, but the real problem with collecting is having enough room.
Exactly. But hopefully, you don't really have to worry about collecting going forward because nearly everything's digital now. So the days of kind of like these beautiful collections may actually have their end date to an extent.
I'm gonna hold out as long as possible.
No, definitely. I can never understand why people buy a digital version of the game for, in some cases, more money when you've got zero resell ability to it and no box, no nothing.
Right.
I can't understand the logic to it.
Plus, it's faster to download something from a disc than over the Wi-Fi.
Okay, yeah.
Sorry, Nostalgia, I believe you're gonna say something.
Yeah, I was just gonna say. So, did you grow up with the Super Nintendo?
Yeah, it was. I mean, actually, Sega was bigger, in Europe at one stage around the Genesis or Mega CD Mega Drive as we called it over here. Sega actually had the edge on Nintendo, for a short period of time. But I was just a Nintendo kid. I just had a Super Nintendo for probably my 11th or 12th, Christmas, and ever since then, just my dream has been to have every single game. And I've just continued Nintendo going forward. I've had different systems. I've had the odd PlayStation. I've had a 360, but they've all fell by the wayside, and it's just always been Nintendo for me.
Nice. Now, this is kind of a weird question, but like, what was your like first thought? Because I know in Europe, you guys grew up with the Famicom version, or at least the look of the Famicom version.
Yeah.
What was your like first thought when you saw the American version of the Super Nintendo?
I thought it looked really cool, and it's a bit like the box art of American games. It's a lot more focused on a more adult audience, whereas they kind of cartoonized a lot of kind of like artwork for European games. So whether that was just meant that they were targeting maybe a younger demographic. But I remember when I first saw the Super Nintendo, the American one, I thought it looked great, but I wasn't a fan when I actually played one and got a hold of some controllers of the 4 buttons on the Super Nintendo controller. 2 of them are concave; they slope inwards on the American systems, whereas on the European systems it's 4 different colours of the red, yellow, green, and blue, but they're all convex. They're all kind of like curved outwards. So it really put me off actually playing games on an American system, just having that sloping in button, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it's weird. I never thought about that, but now I'm wondering why that decision was made. That slight change, but I'm just wondering why they made it now. I never thought about that until now.
Yeah, no, it's actually a big thing when you're playing especially like a fighting game like Street Fighter or something like that. Just that different feeling on your fingers. I know you guys were talking earlier about kind of like your Xbox controller, and you're kind of like holding out to fix it or get a genuine one because you don't want to get a third party one. And I guess part of the reason is that because a third party one just won't feel right. And
Right.
It's much the same with that American controller when I felt it, because obviously the Japanese controller of the Famicom was the same as the European one in its buttons.
Right. Yeah, it's just what you're used to and kind of what feels right.
Yeah. But while we're talking about controllers, could I throw a topic out there for you guys that I'd be interested in hearing?
Yeah, definitely.
I'd like to know your guys, like your favorite controllers of all time. Like, what would you say, felt the best? What would you say was the most revolutionary for its time? And which ones kind of like stand the test of time and which ones kind of don't?
Well, for me, I would say it was the Xbox 360. When I held that controller, I could hold it for like hours and hours on hands. The Xbox 360 controller just felt great to me.
Yeah.
Like I feel like it kind of conformed to my hands, you could say. Compared to the Xbox One, like I don't know how I could say this visual-wise, but like it's that sharp line with the Xbox One that kind of like throws me off. Like I don't know how to describe it, but it's just like, where your hands hold, then there's that sharp line, that sharp divot, I guess. That's what kind of throws me off compared to the Xbox 360, where it's just like all rounded, molded, it shapes your hand, So in my opinion, I think the Xbox 360 controller feels best to me. Second to that, I would say the GameCube controller.
Yeah, because that GameCube controller has really stood the test of time, hasn't it? Because they keep
definitely
bringing it back for every Nintendo system. There's always the fight controller, whether obviously you could use GameCube controllers on the Wii, but then they had the GameCube style controllers on the Wii U, and then they've got the GameCube style controllers on the Switch as well. So.
Yeah, plus with the GameCube one, it's weird because looking at it, it looks like it could be weird, but when you use it, it works so well.
Yeah, definitely.
Well, definitely for mine, nostalgia actually hit 2 out of 3 that I was gonna name: the 360 controller and the GameCube controller. To throw out an additional thing, I do like the offset thumbsticks on the Xbox controllers compared to PlayStation. I don't know if I'm just used to it or what, but I do like the 2 thumbsticks not being right next to each other. Like I like one being above the other. I think it probably just what I'm used to. But aside from the 360 and GameCube controllers, which was going to be my picks, I will give a shout out to the Atari 2600 paddle controller. Just because the paddle controller, there's certain games that only work with a paddle controller. In my opinion, like brick-breaking games. That controller, very niche for one console, but the games that worked on it worked well, and they could only work with that type of controller. And I'm a big Super Breakout guy, so I have to give a shout out to the paddle controller.
Yeah, no, definitely. Some of those brick-breaking type games on the Atari 2600 were definitely great with that paddle controller.
Yeah, it's difficult to play brick-breaking games with, like, a regular button or something.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, no, that's interesting. I do like the 360 controller. I'm glad both you guys kind of like said that because even though I'm a big Nintendo guy, that 360 controller does feel like it was just molded to your hands.
Yeah, I guess the only gripe I will say about the 360 controller is the D-pad is probably controversial. Some people like the D-pad, but it could definitely be better on the 360 controller. That'd be like the one thing I'd throw out. Just because like the round D-pad that moves.
Yeah. So what about revolutionary controllers then of something that was completely different? Like everyone remembers when the Wii came out and you didn't even see a picture of the console. It was just the controller. And I felt kind of the same way when the N64 came out. I remember when I held that controller for the first time and I just thought it was so different to anything else that I'd ever felt before. It just felt so revolutionary. But as time went by, it's probably the one controller that's aged the worst. Whereas if you get hold of an N64 controller now, it's practically inusable.
Yeah, the thumbstick always goes out on them.
Well,
Oh, you go. Still formulating mine.
I was just gonna say the Switch controller. I mean, I know it's basic, everybody says that, but there's so many ways you could play a Switch. You can either play with the Joy-Cons either in the controller thing or out. You can get a Pro controller. There's so many different ways to play the Switch. And it's not really necessarily controller. It's not really necessarily a controller, but it's a different ways you can play it.
Yeah. No, I agree. To be fair, I play the majority of my Switch with a Pro controller just because I like playing on a TV. But the Joy-Cons, it's everything the Wii U, should have been really, in that controller.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. You know what? I'm going to say it. I'm going to go with a controversial pick. I'm going to go with the goddamn Kinect. And let me explain. Before I'm drug into the town square, let me explain. Controversial opinion, the Kinect in some ways was better than the Wii. I played Kinect Sports. I played Wii Sports. Kinect Sports looked better, at least the boxing. So I think Kinect Sports underrated and it achieved complete motion control. And I'm going to throw that out there.
That is controversial, definitely. I mean, the Wii had some horrendous controlling games, but when you had a Wii game that actually played right, like Super Mario Galaxy or some of the first-person shooters where you weren't doing silly motions, you were just using it as, a point-and-click, controller, I don't think there was anything better. But then when you were trying to play, a cheap third-party game where you were twisting the Wii remote or it was putting a wheel or it was putting, Tony Hawk Ride skateboard, or something like that, it was obviously the worst controller ever created. But when done right, I thought the Wii controller was fantastic.
I think my opinion all literally dates back to one specific moment. Playing Kinect boxing, I was always really good at it. Then when I played Wii boxing on like the Wii Sports, I lost against my little cousin. She beat me at the game because the damn thing kept disconnecting. It was like out of the area or whatever. So, because of that one moment on a specific game mode, on a specific game, I have created this opinion.
So we've done kind of like the best controllers just before. I know you guys have got lots of things to talk about, but let's just have a very quick worst controllers.
I'm sorry, I'm going to have to say the Nintendo 64 controller has to be in there.
Yeah.
I like what they were going for. I like the idea. But the thumbstick is a problem. And when they released those gloves because of bloody hands and the thumbstick goes out, I don't want to have to do it, but I have to put the N64 controller on that list.
No, I agree. You can actually buy a mod for an N64 controller that puts a GameCube style thumbstick instead of that long, tall thumbstick inside of the controller, and it makes a world of difference to the actual controller, but it is still very hard to play with today.
Now, I know this is very, very controversial, but the PlayStation 1 controller, the original PlayStation 1 controller without the thumbsticks, it's just way too small for me. I kind of have big hands, and controlling it doesn't feel good to me.
Well, I think I agree, but for a different reason. I just think navigating a three-dimensional space without without proper thumbsticks just doesn't work. And there's a reason they added the sticks to the PlayStation 1 controller.
Yeah. Can I add my worst? Just because I'm looking at two of them now.
Yeah.
And I suppose some people would class this as a peripheral, but because it plugs straight into the controller port, I'm going to class it as a controller. And I'm talking about the Donkey Kong bongo set that you use to control the games Donkey Kong, Jungle Beat, and Donkey Konga on the GameCube. So you were using two bongos to control Donkey Kong, and it was very difficult.
Yeah, I think I'd include that, definitely. There were, and for the pain that I'm sure plenty of GameStop employees experienced by kids running in and banging on the drums. I think we got a pretty solid list of bad controllers, I must say. And it's always up to personal preference, but like I'm sure there were some terrible ones that came out in like the 1970s or something that nobody remembers.
I'm sure.
But of the ones that matter, we have picked the list.
Well, actually, though, speaking of kind of like all the way back then, did anybody see like the original NES controller when it was called the AVS?
I don't think so. I'm gonna look it up.
That controller looked really, really uncomfortable. Okay, so just add a quick fact. Before it was called the NES, Nintendo called it the AVS. It came with a keyboard, mouse, cassette thing. I forgot what it was called.
Shit!
And,
yeah, I'm looking at it now.
And a few other things. Yeah, the controller just looks uncomfortable.
Yeah, it looks weird.
Yeah. With those, yeah, that's strange. Well, I've learned something
like it's
new.
Too wide.
Yeah, it looks weird. You know, it looks. I don't really know how to describe it, but it looks odd. I'm glad Nintendo released the NES as it is, the regular controller, because holding that it might just get uncomfortable. Like I know holding the NES controller may seem uncomfortable, but that, yeah.
Yeah, plus for some reason, just by looking at it, like the red buttons, they don't look appealing to use.
Yeah, man, it just looks bad. But do you guys want to move on to the next topic?
Sure. Throw one out.
Well, I guess this one's technically a topic, but I guess this involves our special guest here, but contacting like game developers, people on the internet, stuff like that. And this doesn't really have anything to do with retro gaming, but just like contacting people and stuff is just really, really fucking nerve wracking. Like Haytham, Gruxton, I know I contacted you with the messages or whatever, be like, hey, I want to do an interview and all that. You guys don't know how much anxiety I had contacting you guys. Like I know it may seem weird now, but yeah, that's just my thing. Like I know it sounds weird as a topic, but yeah, that's just like a small little topic right there. Haytham, do you have any problem like contacting people or whatever like that with like small anxieties and stuff?
And I think we can expand this topic a little bit to just messaging people on the internet in general. It is nerve-wracking. Like, the worst thing about messaging someone is when they leave you on scene. It shows that they've seen the message, but they don't reply for a long time. That's the most nerve-wracking. Because then it's like, oh, should I have sent the message at all? Did I say something wrong? Like, what's going on here? Which is
Yeah,
why I'm very careful about sending messages.
yeah. Like right now, I'm trying to contact this game developer. He worked on a snowboarding game. I just sent him a basic message, and it's on scene. Then
People don't realize leaving you on scene is like the most like annoying move. I'd rather they send back the like flipping off emoji. At least that's something. Do send something back.
right, and then Haytham, I know I texted you about this yesterday, but I contacted this I forgot what her name was, but it's this Nintendo chick that always wears socks or whatever. I contacted her to see if she wants to be on the podcast, and she's just like, I'm not good at voice acting. I'm like, what the fuck? So I just sent an LOL, and then it's just on scene. Something that I piss her off by telling her,
Oh, probably just anxiety or something.
yeah, I don't know, but
But you never know because the scene thing is like the most annoying, irritating thing of all time.
yeah,
Well, just as a guest that you've actually contacted, I couldn't have been happier that you guys contacted me and said, "Hey, do you want to come on the podcast?" I thought it was kind of like, you know, a almost, I don't know, it was a nice thing to happen for somebody that's kind of only just started to put his stuff out there, and you know, showing that you're actually making some progress. And you know, it was just something nice. But I kind of get where you guys are coming from, because I have much the same thing when I'm actually trying to promote my things. Like, you might go into a group on Facebook, like a Nintendo group, and you're like, how do I interact with these people while at the same time trying to kind of like promote, hey, I've got, you know, an Instagram page, I've got a YouTube, I've got this or that, without coming across like you're just a shill, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it's like it's difficult to walk that line.
Yeah.
'Cause it's just always in the back of your mind, like, oh, what are they gonna think? How are they gonna respond?
Yeah.
I will say though, the in a similar boat, actually, being contacted by Nostalgia originally is kind of what helps me be able to message people. Because just you might not know, but the way I met Nostalgia was being interviewed by him, and I mean, I was also like, yeah, 100%, like I will totally be interviewed and be on. So it's like I think most people, I'd at least hope, would be interested in being interviewed or being on a podcast. I know, like, if anybody asks me to be on a podcast, I am down. So I go into that logic that most people are probably happy to be able to do it.
yeah. I guess the thing that sucks about contacting people is contacting like big big people. I
Yeah.
I contacted this huge Nintendo collector. He has a huge game room, all the N64 controllers. So, I think you know what I'm talking about. But I asked him on Twitch, "Hey, do you want to be a part of the podcast?" And he's just like, "Yeah, sure. Send me an email." I send him an email, and the first word I see is, "Unfortunately."
Oh, how
He's just
you
like,
know?
unfortunately, you don't have enough subscribers, and I'm not taking that risk of getting on your podcast. And the worst thing is just getting like rejected. But I guess you got to do that.
I don't actually know who you're talking about, but I definitely do want you to privately message me the name. I'm very curious.
He just did a face reveal.
I still have no clue. You're gonna have to message me the name on it.
Okay, I'll DM it to you. But yeah, I just got rejected, torn down, and then I tried contacting this other person about doing a podcast. And then again, they're just like, no, I'm sorry, I can't do it, blah, blah, blah. So To be honest, I'd rather they say no, fuck off. I'm not doing your dumbass podcast saying, unfortunately, no, blah 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 blah. I just rather I just rather them be upfront with me than just like, no, I'm sorry.
But in some of their defense as well, you never know. Maybe some of these people actually suffer themselves from anxiety issues on kind of like talking, in front of kind of like people and etc. And sometimes, it might be hard for them to actually talk about that and, making an easy excuse of something else.
Yeah, I do definitely think that could be part of it. Like, I remember back in the day, like, if I was in a group call or something, like, sometimes the anxiety would stop me from being able to talk, and then once a few seconds goes by, you just gotta pretend you, like, were disconnected from the call or something. So I definitely think that's where a lot of them are. At least some of them are probably coming from. And then the one that told you didn't have enough subs is probably just ego-centric. But I think some of them are probably just social anxiety and stuff. But you just never know with the messaging. That's the issue. There's no context or anything in messaging. So it just, the what if question always lingers.
Yeah, and I mean that's the thing. The subscribers guy, he seemed like a cool, chill person. He was a cool person to talk to on Twitch. But when we got to emailing, he's just like, "No, you don't have enough subs. No." But yeah, man, I guess talking to people, it's really all about the messaging and the delivery. If you deliver the message well, maybe the person might just give you a shot. If you're just like, hey, get on this podcast, I'm a big fan, blah blah blah. It's all about the delivery when you message somebody like NES Sleeves. I guess when I messaged you, I was just kind of upfront with it, which maybe I feel like I shouldn't have been. I should have been, much lighter with it. It'd be like, hey, I'm a big fan, blah blah blah. And yeah, you guys get what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
I should be more professional with it, even though this is a one-man person.
Well, I think part of the issue too is people like there's too much of a stigma against self promotion on the internet. But I guess some people could spam it or something. But like a lot of websites like Reddit will hate self promotion. But it's like if the stuff you're making pertains to what they're interested in, I don't see the issue with promoting your own stuff.
Exactly. Like, I'm not even selling my stuff at the moment, but I still worry about kind of like promoting it because it's just you kind of worry about that self-promotion issue.
Right. It's like it almost makes you feel like you have to just make it and hope to get noticed by accident.
Yeah.
And I think Nostalgia, you definitely have a lot of experience with this too, because you were interviewing people for a long time, so you've been messaging people for a while.
Yeah.
Way before this podcast.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, it's just all about the delivery.
But it worked though. We got SNES Sleeves right here.
Yep.
It worked on me.
Right. So it worked so far.
You guys want to move on to the next topic, or do you guys want to stay on this?
I think we can move on unless SNES Sleeves. Or you have
No,
anything
we can
more to
move
add?
on. Yeah, no, that's great.
All right, so SNES Sleeves, I know you're a parent, but have I have a very funny story. So, and again, this has a lot to do with nostalgia.
Yeah.
But I was just taking a trash out one day, right? And I walk outside of my building, and I just see a bunch of scooters and bikes, and there's a bunch of kids running around. I'm like, the fuck are all these kids doing out here? And then I take out the trash and I go back to playing games. I'm like, damn. I remember, being a kid playing outside, leaving all my bikes in the front yard. And I remember that. And it's just like it's weird. Like small stuff like that just reminds you of just being a kid. When I head back upstairs, this kid's just like, no, no, just go away, no. And I I didn't mean to be a dick to him, but it's just like a lot of shit just like reminds you of being a kid, being like nostalgic about certain stuff.
The innocence of childhood.
Yeah.
And it's weird, like it, it's weird like missing being a kid because like I could just remember like 2 years ago, 3 years ago, being 15, 16, and just like damn, now I'm like 23, gotta be 24.
Yeah, well, time just goes so quick that, I mean, on one hand, you being over 18 and being an adult, you don't have to listen to parents or anything. On the other hand, you have to pay bills and work a job. So sometimes the innocence of hanging out with friends as a kid, you look back on that. I mean, I don't know about you guys, but I don't see myself and my friends riding scooters around the cul-de-sac anytime soon.
You think those times will last forever as well when you're kind of like that sort of age, you think that kind of like, and the harsh reality of it is that, in a year or two that it will all be over, in that period of being allowed out without your parents to being an adult and doing what you want is actually such a small window. You don't kind of like realize it until you get older. And you guys are actually, a lot younger than me. I'm in my, I'm 37. So it's actually a good chunk further back for me. But you kind of like appreciate things like that, the older you get. But thankfully, having children, it's one of those great things because you can relive a lot of your childhood in that kind of like, by having children and doing things with them the same as you were doing yourself, not riding scooters on the block, but the same, that enjoyment of simple things. And people aren't looking at you really weird because you're doing things as an adult that you'd have done as a child. It's okay if you've got two kids with you, like jumping on a bouncy castle. You're not going to be doing that as an adult unless you've got two little kids with you to do it with.
Yeah.
Yeah, you get to kind of like see them go through the same childhood fun, and like you said, sometimes join in with them. take advantage of the free pass to be able to go on the bouncy castle.
Exactly.
Actually, though, I kind of like another. This is a topic within itself, but I actually have another story attached to it. The topic is called ice cream truck memories or whatever. So like when I was a kid, the ice cream truck would come like every 15 minutes, 16 minutes. And I remember as a kid, like during
every
the
day. Wait, every day, every 15 minutes.
Yeah, like I lived in a city at the time, but when I was a kid, the ice cream truck would actually come at night, which is, looking at it now, was kind of weird, but
that's kind of creepy. At like 2 a.m., it's just slowly going down the street playing music. No one's around.
Yeah, but I remember as a kid, I just got finished eating or whatever, and asked my dad, "Hey, could I have some ice cream?" He's just like, "You sure the ice cream's gonna come around in like 15 minutes?" I'm like, "Yeah, maybe. I might just wait for the ice cream truck." And then I'm just sitting there looking at the window, waiting for the ice cream truck coming. Is it there yet? Is it there yet? And then it was just like about 11 o'clock or whatever. My mom's like, "Hey, you got to go to bed." I'm like, "Fine, let me just go grab this ice cream and I'll go." As soon as I open the popsicle, I see the fucking ice cream truck come around the corner.
He was waiting. He knew.
Okay, yeah, carry on.
Oh, no, you go ahead.
Oh no, sorry, I thought you'd finished your story. You finish your story and then I'll chip in.
All right, so I was eating my ice cream. I was just like, "Damn it!" And then I see all the kids come out of the houses, go towards the ice cream truck. I'm like, "Damn it!" And I just see my ice cream and just go to bed like super angry.
Yeah, that's just like the terrible timing.
Well, you think yourself very lucky because where I grew up in a tiny, quintessential British village where, there was probably 150 houses in this whole village, and they were all kind of, 2, 3, 4, 500 years old.
Yeah.
And we never got an ice cream truck ever. My whole childhood, not one ice cream van ever came to the village I grew up in. And then I bought my first house when I was 18. And where I moved to, I lived next door to an ice cream truck. The guy that ran an ice cream truck lived next door to me, and he parked his ice cream truck outside my house. So every night he'd come back and he'd give me a free ice cream when he parked. So
Nice.
my ice cream
Ultimate
memories
hookup.
came post 18.
Well, at least
Like
living
that.
right next to the guy, you got like the ultimate hookup. You're able to catch up.
Yeah, I mean, you got the ultimate hookup, man. Living right next to the ice cream man. That's fucking sweet.
Yeah, it won't be difficult finding where the truck is to catch you this time.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just have the
Actually,
memories of, as I say, just the memories of trying to chase down the ice cream truck. You can hear the music, but you can't quite tell where it's coming from, but it's around. So you got on foot, try to track it down.
yeah, yeah. Like, well, okay. It's not necessarily a story, but I guess a moment. Like, it's for when you wake up as a kid, you go outside, you go play scooters or whatever. You hear the ice cream truck come around, and you're just like, "Mom, give me some money, give me some money. The ice cream truck is here." She's just like, "Why the fuck do you want ice cream? It's 9 in the morning."
It's like I didn't pick when the guy came, but this is the one opportunity.
Yeah,
It could be 6 a.m. and raining out. When you're a kid and the ice cream truck comes, you're gonna chase it down.
yeah, man. Shit. I mean, I guess I shouldn't really curse this on myself, but I can't wait to have kids, man, to do shit like that. Just suck on my kid with a scooter, have him go out. Well, I guess you can't really do that because it's 2020 now, but
I won't be 2020 probably by then.
Well, I mean, yeah, just like have my kid go out with a scooter. Having him run upstairs, give him $1 or $2 to go to the ice cream truck. It's gonna be fun having kids. Well, it's not gonna be fun all the time, but small moments of having kids, I can't wait for it. Showing my kid the N64, the GameCube, stuff like that.
Yeah,
no,
I mean that's
good.
oh no, go
Oh,
ahead.
sorry, carry on.
No, I was just gonna say that's the nice thing about I don't have any kids obviously, but I have like a niece and nephew and my younger cousin, so it's just the younger people. It's nice. You can kind of show them video games. You can kind of teach them lessons, kind of try to implant some knowledge. I guess like it's nice, like kids and stuff. There's an innocence to them, and you can relay it back to your own childhood. So that's always nice. That's the one nice thing about kids is you can kind of give them input and stuff and help them
Yeah,
experience
definitely.
movies and games.
Yeah, I mean, both of my kids are kind of still too young to go down the video game route or anything like that. But actually getting out there, and doing things with them, just kind of like basic things, like the first time they see, a train or a locomotive, sort of thing. Just the excitement look on their face of kind of like seeing something like that for the first time, and you being the one able to actually show them. It's a big thing. It's a real big deal that I don't think you kind of like appreciate until you actually, have children and kind of like do it yourself, sort of thing.
Yeah, like the things that are so like quaint and regular everyday things to you is exciting to them.
Well, it's new to them, it's kind of
Yeah.
like it's the first time they've ever seen something like that. So, but at the moment, my children are still, one's 5 and one's 2, and they are definitely banned from my games room because I could see all my amiibos with their arms
Yeah.
snapped off. I could see kind of like my pristine boxed Paper Mario N64 ripped open to see what's inside, and I almost have nightmares about that.
The bongo drums just
Yeah, the bongo drums with holes pierced in them, which
Yeah.
probably wouldn't actually be a bad thing. Maybe that should be the first game I actually introduce them to.
Yeah.
The bongo drums.
Yeah. Theirs be destroyed over time.
All right. I guess this is kind of like a weird topic, but SNES, did you grow up with a Nickelodeon in the UK?
Yeah, it was. We had like Nickelodeon. I didn't really watch it that much. It was on what we called Sky, so it was kind of like behind a pay window back in the day of satellite TV. We just had standard, basic TV, so we didn't really get Nickelodeon, but it was available. So I've watched it a little bit at friends' houses and things, but not a lot.
Okay. Well, and I guess, Haytham, you might have grown up with it too. I don't quite know. But this is kind of like a small niche thing. But Nickelodeon had this thing back in the day called the Worldwide Day of Play. And, it had good intentions. It was to encourage kids to, like, go outside or whatever. What they would do, they would turn off Nickelodeon for, like, 24 hours straight. And it would just constantly show this message. Hey, go outside, do some shit, turn off the TV. And it's weird. Like, they had good intentions, but me as a kid, I just changed it to either Disney Channel or Cartoon Network.
I can't believe that they, like, Nickelodeon or the parent company Viacom, I cannot believe they were willing to lose that much money. I can't fathom that they decided to do that.
It might have been though some crazy law that was written into place when 24-hour children's TV actually came out, that they had this kind of like break to encourage children to go outside.
Yeah, maybe some weird like regulation or something.
Yeah.
Well, either way though, like you said, they just changed the channel.
Right. And you know what the fucked up part was? Like, I would see this and I would generally want to go outside. But when it came on, it would always be raining. And I'm like, hey Dad, can I go outside get some fresh air? And my dad, he would always tell great dad jokes, but he would just open a window and there's some air and it's fresh. And I would just either stay inside, watch Cartoon Network or Disney Channel, play with toys, or get on the GameCube. But yeah, man, it's weird, but I don't. It's weird. Like, they still do it to this day, so I guess it still kind of lives on.
Wait, Nickelodeon still does it?
Yeah.
I must have just fucking like missed it every time or something. Then again, it's not like I'm watching Nickelodeon very often these days anyway.
Yeah. Actually, though, it's well, I shouldn't really be harping on the podcast like this. I have another story, but I feel like I'm kind of hogging the whole thing. So, you Haytham, you could go ahead, because I honestly feel like I'm hogging the whole thing. So, just go ahead.
Well, I'll add on to the topic real quick. I do think, ironically enough, while video games obviously kept a lot of kids inside, the games like Pokemon Go, I feel like, got the most young people walking the streets than ever before. There was a few weeks where everybody was on the sidewalk. Not me, but everyone I saw on the sidewalk walking around playing that game. It was impressive. So they definitely, I mean, it's good to get kids outside, but also being close to the TV is not going to kill you. It's all about moderation.
Yeah, no, it's definitely about moderation, at the end of the day. But I think it kind of like brings up a bit of a wider topic, actually, just on games in general, on kind of like back in the day. I know when I was a child, and kind of like I had my SNES, and it came with Mario All-Stars, and I had Mario Kart, and I had Street Fighter 2 Turbo. And these were all kind of like games you could get on. They were great games and you could play them. But, kind of like, say, Mario World, 20, 30 hours later, that game was done and it had replay value. But games today, and the length of them, of the kind of like hundreds and hundreds of hours that you have to put in to get every single, achievement, all the collectibles, etc., etc. Kind of it does kind of like stifle that kind of like, mixture and that kind of like, some gaming, some getting outside, just the overall length of games.
Yeah, it's honestly intimidating how long time. There's like 100 hours. Ooh,
Yeah,
that's a lot of hours.
I know, because one of my favorite series of all time, I don't know how much you guys like it, but I love the Fire Emblem series. So I've played every Fire Emblem game. I've played all the Japanese ones, that have been fan translated into English. And, it's a real-time strategy game. I love kind of like building my army up, working out what units do well against what enemies, etc., etc. And I picked up Fire Emblem Three Houses for the Switch, and I was so excited for that game. And I popped it in, but there was so much added on content to actually beef that game out. It really put me off, and I'd actually class it as probably, me personally, my least favorite Fire Emblem game, because there was this whole section on fishing on it, there was a whole section on cooking on it, there was a whole section on growing crops on it, there's a whole section of building relationships on it. And quite often when I think about things like that, and I think, if I want to play a cooking game, I'd go and buy Cooking Mama. If I wanted to grow crops, I'd buy Harvest Moon or Animal Crossing. In a Fire Emblem game, I want to play Fire Emblem. And this Fire Emblem game, it's called Three Houses because you're choosing what house in a school you want to be a part of. And the idea of the replayability of it is to go into a different house and you get a different story. But by the time I'd actually finished just one of the houses and all of that side quest stuff that you had to do, it really put me off ever wanting to replay kind of like that game ever again.
Yeah, like unnecessary filler type content in games where it's like, what? I want to get through the story or like the main part of the game. Like in real life, I could do this faster than in the game. Like, why am I doing this?
Exactly. I just think they put it in just so they can say it's this number of hours, and I just feel it has like a detrimental effect to a lot of modern games.
A lot of modern games have the problem too. You have to open up every like shelf and bookcase in a room to loot like little resources and materials that you need.
Yeah,
like, it just slows down the whole process.
Yeah, I feel like Animal Crossing. I feel like Animal Crossing is like related to this, but I feel like it has a lot of unnecessary text. So like when you go buy things at Nook's Cranny, oh hey, are you interested in this? Yes. Okay, well this is very blah, 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 and then you just buy it. I feel like Animal Crossing has a lot of unnecessary text and a whole lot of unnecessary stuff.
Yeah.
I feel like Animal Crossing is just like 30% filler, really.
Yeah. No, I agree. I agree with a lot of modern games. That's kind of like the case, because you can go and play any Fire Emblem game, going back to that, whether it's the one on the Wii, GameCube, the SNES, even the 3DS ones, and you're just playing a real-time strategy game. You're playing what Fire Emblem is, whereas the Switch version, it's just got that much additional, side quests, content in it, which I'm sure some people love, but to me, it's just, it's added on for no value.
By the way, I will be right back.
All right. Yeah, that filler though, it's just always annoying because it's like, it really is just wasting time at the end of the day. Where it's like, this 100-hour game could have been 70 hours. I'm still gonna buy it. Like, you don't have to make me do this. You don't have to give me extra hours to make me buy it. Like, it's fine. Like, make the fishing and stuff optional. Make it an optional thing or something.
I mean, to be fair, it is partly optional, but I think back to kind of like some of the great arcade games that were kind of like ported, to home consoles back in the 90s and things. And you could play through a lot of those because they were arcade games, in a few hours, in 2-3 hours. But you felt like you got your money's worth because you could replay those games. You were replaying them for a higher score. You were replaying them to do better. Because they were so short, you felt you could replay them. And because of that, you felt you got your money's worth. And I think that's something really lacking in modern gaming, in the fact that, a short game does have that replayability to it. Whereas a longer game, it's such a grind to get through it. By the end of it, you're just relieved it's over more than wanting to kind of hit the reset button and go again.
No, I know how that is. And plus, if a game is short but it's fun, that'll make you want to keep going back to it. Like if I can pick up a game every so often and play it, and it's just fun and short, that works too. That's replayability factor.
Exactly.
I definitely had that feeling where it's like, oh, okay, only 8 hours to go till it's done. Like it's just fun overall, but we got to wrap this thing up.
Exactly. Yeah.
And then you put it back on the shelf, and it's like, in a few years, I will replay you.
I think that, but I've got such a library of games. The chance of me going back and playing games is quite slim.
The backlog in the library of games and the stuff that you have to play coming out, it's too much content.
Yeah, but yeah. So what's on your to playlist? What would you say is on your either backlog or upcoming that you'll play?
Well, honestly, what I've been doing recently is I'm wanting to go back for games from this generation that are cheap finally.
Yeah.
Versus upgrading next gen. I want to get into a bunch of scary horror games and stuff. So I've been compiling a list I want to try the Outlast games, which are supposed to be pretty scary.
Yeah.
Just kind of compiling a list at the moment. And I just want to replay play for the first time some of the PlayStation 4 exclusive and stuff. Because now I'm really just trying to get the best bang for the buck money-wise,
Okay, yeah. And that's how I kind of collect games. I never buy them at full price. I'm always waiting for the next generation to come out. At the moment, I'm buying a lot of Wii U games because they're just so cheap, but if you were, and in a few years' time, they'll probably be worth, some money. But if you were actually buying them when they came out, you'd never afford to be able to actually buy them, at the sort of levels I do, just because of the price. But if you're buying them one generation past, it's great.
Right. And well, interestingly enough, before the pandemic made prices rise, I was actually starting to look at the GameCube first party titles that were always I wanted Animal Crossing on the GameCube because I would definitely play it a lot.
Yeah.
But it was $50 or something, and that's hard to bite the bullet on, and now it's obviously higher, so it's more difficult.
Yeah, no, the GameCube is one of those systems that really has gone up in value, which I'm really happy about because I know, as I already said, I've got all the games, but there are some great games on the GameCube. I know they've teased a lot of times of remaking certain things, and there was that big picture of Mario sat on the beach that came out a few weeks ago or whenever, and everyone's speculating that that'll be a reboot of Mario Sunshine and different things like that. So the GameCube library definitely does get revisited a lot. It's but it's nice to still go back and actually play it on the original hardware.
Yeah, plus the GameCube, it's great that it's finally getting the love it deserves. The GameCube, underrated system. The GameCube's just cool, and it has a lot of good games that don't, now they're getting love. But a lot of people kind of sat on the GameCube, but now in recent time, people are realizing, oh, it actually has a lot of great games on it.
Yeah, there are. I I'm glad it's kind of like getting the love. And I know you guys talked about this, on a podcast previously, but wouldn't it be great to get a HD version of F-Zero on the GameCube, on the Switch?
Yeah. Well, speaking of the GameCube, actually, I will say, congrats on the complete library. That is pretty impressive, I must say.
Yeah, no, I've had a complete library in the GameCube for probably about 10 years. It's
Damn.
I really did buy it when prices were rock bottom, and it's
yeah, you
it's
got
nice.
In at like the perfect time.
Yeah, no, I definitely did, because I don't think I'd be able to complete the library today at the sort of prices that they're going for. And some games are just, you can't even buy them. There isn't even copies for sale on eBay. So it was definitely a good time to come in. As well, I know you guys were talking about the Dreamcast earlier, but the GameCube benefited from kind of like a few nice Dreamcast ports back in the day.
Yeah.
I know one of my favourite games on the Dreamcast was Skies of Arcadia, which was originally a Dreamcast exclusive.
Yeah, definitely. And the GameCube and that whole generation, like, the prices will rock bottom. And I remember, because I buy for the Xbox original, the prices were rock bottom. But now in recent time, the prices are rising. Obviously, I think GameCube is the most extreme example of prices rising, I would definitely say. But that whole generation, I think, is finally getting the love it needs, but especially the GameCube.
Yeah, no, I mean, I've got a lot of new life in my GameCube as well, because there's a really small company called Eon Gaming, and they make these little HDMI converters for GameCubes that go in the back of them.
Oh yeah, I want one of those eventually.
They are so smart. I mean, they're very expensive for what they are, but and they come in their own little GameCube box that looks like a GameCube, and you just pop one in the back, and they look fantastic. And just a couple of weeks ago, I was able to get the N64 one that they've brought out as well.
It makes it look great on the TV too.
It does. In modern TV era, if you haven't got a original CRT TV, to play these things on, retro consoles do look terrible on modern TVs. But just having a little HDMI adapter like that to go in the back of the GameCube, it does make it the world of difference. It really does look nice.
Yeah, like it's almost like when you those are GameCube adapters. That's like, I watched a video by Metal Jesus Rocks, and he shows the comparison, and it's like night and day. Like the adapter version just looks so much better. It's like it's hard to go back.
It does. I mean, I'd actually got to the stage I was playing nearly all my GameCube games on my Wii, just because, it's very easy to, get a little HDMI adapter for the Wii, so I was playing them like that. But there's just something nice about playing games on its original kind of like hardware, and
definitely,
going down that route. I know I've always wanted to get one of those Super NTs from Analog, that are kind of like the FPGA Super Nintendo, to not actually emulate games, but actually play them properly from the cart. Which is, I don't know if you're familiar with those or not. They've just brought out.
I've seen them.
Yeah, they've just brought out. They're very expensive, and they've just brought out the Game Boy version of what they do. And I've always wanted one of them, but never actually picked one up. But like I say, there's just something nice about playing it on original hardware that I don't think you can even replicate with something like that.
Yeah, it just feels right.
Exactly. And it takes you back, doesn't it? Kind of like, it just makes you kind of like reminisce.
Yeah, plus it's like, it just feels accurate to the time period too. Like playing on the original hardware with the controller, it almost kind of takes you back to that time in a way. Like it feels historical in a way.
Yeah. The one thing I don't miss though is the saving ability on old consoles, because I play so many games on my SNES Mini, especially like role playing games and things like that, and just having the ability to do save states wherever you like instead of actually going off to find a save point somewhere or a certain part in the game where you can save. It's a big difference, especially as you've got older and you've got other things, occupying your time and children potentially screaming at you and different things. Just that ability to have a save state, turn it off, instead of being an hour or whatever into a dungeon on a role-playing game and can't find a save point.
Yeah, plus I've heard a good argument for save states and stuff. I think it's justified because the mindset of a lot of those games was a kid's gonna buy this and it's the only game he's gonna have for a while. So he needs to be able to commit as much time as possible and really get the bang for his buck. Whereas now as an adult, you don't want to commit that much time and you can't. So we need the ability to save.
Yeah, I look at it as well back then, the way that game developers stretched the life of a game out. I know we've just talked about Animal Crossing and the new Fire Emblem and how long they are. But back then, game developers, the way they stretched a game out was making it hard. And the fact that you'd play a level, you'd die, and you'd have to replay that level again. And obviously, going back and visiting some of these games, you don't need a game to be that long. So having the ability to do a save state, maybe a rewind feature, etc., it makes those games, in my opinion, even better because you're not having to stretch those games out like the developer wants you to make you feel like you've got your money's worth when you've just put down, 40, 50 pounds or dollars on a new, Super Nintendo game or whatever. It's I'm a big advocate of save states.
Yeah, definitely. It's like, man, I don't have all day to commit to this fucking RPG. Like, I gotta go mow the lawn. I gotta go to work later. Like, I can't sit here all day.
I know when I was younger, I had a copy of Battletoads on the Super Nintendo. And when I first played the first level, I thought it was the best game that I'd ever played. It was just amazing. And you played the second level and you were kind of like descending on these platforms, fighting enemies off, and it was great. And then you get to the third level and you're on these bikes, these what they call speed bikes. And I could never, ever get past one part in that level. I'd always crash at the same section of jumps you had to do, and it completely spoiled the game for me. It just kind of like, you try and try and try for days and days and weeks and months to get by that one part on the speed bike level, and you could just never ever do it. And then as an adult, with the ability of emulation through the SNES Mini or whatever, I was able to go back, play that level and get past that just one part that I couldn't get past and actually enjoy the rest of the game. So, yeah.
Well, the worst too would be like you'd be stuck on a certain spot for so long, and then you would finally get past it a little bit, but you wouldn't know what to do, and you would die. That would be the worst. You get your hopes up that you're gonna finally beat it.
Yeah, exactly.
Save states all the way for people who have to save time because they got stuff to do.
Yeah, a big thumbs up for save states for me. From SNES Sleeves as a parent.
Yeah, definitely. Plus, like when you start to get angry at a game, it really kills your patience to keep redoing the same spot.
Exactly. Going back to the patience discussion from earlier. Yeah.
Like you hear the same music or the same cutscene over and over, and it starts to become torture.
And games should be fun, that's what they're there for.
Right.
They're there to be kind of like fun and relaxing and kind of like something to do in your pleasure time. It shouldn't be kind of like that really angry, aspect to it where you just, you're angry at the world because you can't get past this one part of the level.
Yeah, start squeezing the controller.
Yeah. I had a friend, and we used to play Call of Duty on the Wii, and he got that angry at playing it. He used to throw his controller, his Wii remote, at the television, and you just hear this bang on the voice chat, and then he'd just say, "I've got to go and buy a new TV," and
Oh, no.
I've got no idea how many TVs he got through playing that game. It must have been a lot.
Yeah, I've never been at that level of like breaking stuff. I think I've always, in the back of my mind, I don't want to have to pay for a new one, and that's always stopped me from breaking anything.
Yeah, no, I'm the same. I've never actually broke anything like that. But he loved to break things. I think it was his way of being able to stop playing, just break the TV.
To escape the pain.
Yeah.
Squeezing the controller is the closest I've come.
Yeah.
And eventually it's like, all right, I gotta shut this game off. And sometimes when you come back with a clear head, then it's easier.
After going and seeing the ice cream man.
Yeah. It's like, all right, if I sit here and keep playing, I'm just gonna turn more and more red and squeeze the controller tighter and tighter. I gotta get out of here.
Yeah.
Definitely. So, what got you into doing the Super Nintendo sleeves and everything? Like, what got you into that whole thing?
Okay, so it was kind of like I said previously, I've kind of like collected Super Nintendo games since I was a child, and all of those older games with the card boxes, I don't know whether they actually ever meant for those card boxes to be anything other than packaging,
Right.
And that's why you see these massive prices for these games, that are actually in their original boxes. Because I can imagine so many children back in the day would have got a new Super Nintendo game or a new, NES game, or an N64 game, and literally just rip the box open or put it in the bin. It's just one of those things. And I knew that to collect a full Nintendo collection, I was never going to be able to financially do it if I was collecting all games in boxes.
You'd have to be like a billionaire.
Exactly. Or even moderately, okay boxed games go for decent money, but moderately okay boxed games just look really, really tatty anyway. So about 5 years ago, I decided I was going to try and make my own boxes. And originally, my original idea was to make a smaller card box than the one that they came in, that just fit a Super Nintendo cartridge. So I started making these boxes because I do quite a lot of graphic design work. So I'm kind of like, quite good on different things. I use kind of like CorelDRAW to do all my stuff in. And I started making these boxes, and then this Chinese company came out with, the universal game case, which is a plastic sleeve that fits in Super Nintendo games, Genesis games, N64 games. Basically, a lot of those old cartridge games fit in the universal game case, and then you have a sleeve like a DVD or or even like a PlayStation or GameCube game. That sleeve that goes into the plastic case. And I just thought, wow, that's fantastic. So I kind of like modded the designs that I'd done up to that point for the universal game case and bought loads of them. And it's just been kind of like a labor of love for literally the past 5 years. In my spare time, I'd just come upstairs into my games room and I, kind of like design a couple of sleeves for it as my collection grew. And it kind of got to the stage where I was nearing the end of the collection, and I just kind of thought to myself, I should actually put some of these online, because there is a community out there that do covers and sleeves for the universal game case. You can download them for free on like the Cover Project, or there's a couple of other sites that do them. But what I think kind of like makes mine different to everybody else's is, one, it's been the same designer that's done all of them, and they all fit into a template. They're all the same template. So when you have them stacked up next to each other on a shelf, they all look the same. The Super Nintendo logos are all in the same place. The logos for the games are all in the same place. The screenshots on the back of the games are all in the same place. The size of the cover art is all in the same place. And because of that, they look fantastic next to each other. Just like modern games of your GameCube collection or your Wii U collection or whatever, all look similar to each other next to them. The original artwork on a lot of NES or Super Nintendo games, when you actually have them on a shelf next to each other, they look different, almost like, polar opposite to each other, because some of them didn't even put logos on the spines of games back then, so you don't know what kind of like game you have. So it was kind of like almost that OCD-ness, in me that wanted to make this whole collection and make them look all, the same.
It's a nice, like, uniform, formulaic design. It looks nice on a shelf because it all fits together.
Exactly. And I'm not taking away from anything anyone else has done. Some of the boxes that people have designed for some of the more popular games are fantastic, and they're replicas exactly of the original games, and I think that's kind of like fantastic. But I just wanted to do something different where they all looked like the same, not exactly the same, but kind of like the spines all matched, if that makes sense.
No, that makes sense, and I definitely like that you went with that too, because we all know about like the gripe with like greatest hits or something is like, GameCube, the yellow spine stands out on the shelf.
Yeah, no, exactly. I know I'm just looking at my Wii U collection now, and there's just two that stand out like sore thumbs, and that's the Super Luigi U game, which had a green spine instead of the blue one, and then there's a Just Dance game that's got a white spine instead of all the blue ones. But
it just stands out.
Yeah, no, it does stand out. But,
I did go with custom cases actually, kinda like just by printing the cover off at the library. I did take like DS cases and put Game Boy Advance games in them. I just bought like generic DS game, like workout games or something for a few bucks that nobody cares about, and then put on the custom artwork, like, so it looks nice, and it's a place to put the Game Boy Advance one, because obviously the boxes for those are long gone too.
Yeah, no, exactly. But no, it's been amazing, because like I say, I've never actually, until a few weeks ago even, I'd never put any of my work online, and since I've started putting it up on Instagram, I've just literally been inundated with messages asking me for them. Where can I buy them? Do you sell these? Can I download them anywhere, etc., etc. And it's been really nice, because I was almost worried about putting them online, because there's some hate for the universal game case and things, in the fact that some people think you've either got an unboxed game or you've got a genuine boxed game, and there's no in between, for some people. And I just think there can be an in between. You can you can collect an unboxed collection and still have it look nice. I'm not trying to pretend that these are genuine cases, or trying to rip anybody.
Right. As long as you're not like replicating boxes.
No.
Like, what you're doing is perfectly fine and cool.
Yeah, thanks.
Now, I think it's cool, and I think you could probably understand, like, as a label of love, I'm sure it's kind of relaxing to go up there and, design some and get them in.
Oh, no, it is very relaxing. I love it. I'll just come up, do a cover, and it's nice. It can be frustrating when literally you have terrible artwork to work with, or you're having to recreate a game logo from absolutely nothing and wondering how the hell did they do it originally. But at the same time, it can be really nice.
Right, it's like the equivalent of like trimming a bonsai tree or something, where it's just like you get focused and you just do it.
Yeah, the only thing is now that I'm actually running out of boxes to do. I only have a handful of boxes left to design, and I've started designing a few boxes for kind of fan-made games and translated games as well. But yeah, I'm actually running out of boxes, so then I need to make the decision what to kind of like do next, really, whether I should do a N64 library or kind of call it quits or what. So we'll see.
Yeah, to figure out what the next one might be.
Yeah, the thing is, a lot of the backgrounds on N64 boxes are quite complex. So it would be a slight challenge. Plus, I do actually own about 100 boxed N64 games in genuine boxes. So I don't know if I do collect fully for the N64. It might be one of those ones where I go all boxed and all genuine. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, I just think it's cool that you're posting it online because something like that, definitely get it out in the community and share it so it's not, locked away behind the castle walls forever.
Yeah, well, I always kind of like thought that all this is sat here that could probably be, some people would really appreciate this,
Yeah.
and yeah, so I did want to put it out there, but I was holding off putting it out there until I got to the stage where I had a little more spare time because I wasn't designing so many boxes. Now I've got to kind of like the last few I need to do. I'm not thinking with all my spare time, oh, I need to go and design boxes. I mean,
Right.
it got to the stage about halfway through designing them where I wasn't really playing games because most of my time was actually spent designing the boxes for the games. But
Yeah.
thankfully, I've readdressed the balance a bit of that recently, and I've been gaming, a lot more. So
Yeah, make it more of a hobby again versus just like I
yeah,
have to get this box done.
yeah. But no,
I think yeah.
No, I was just going to say I'm really pleased that you guys liked them. So
Oh, definitely, definitely. And I think it'll be awesome. Obviously, it wasn't the intention behind it, but definitely open up some kind of revenue. So this way to sell them.
yeah, I kind of like I really don't know what I'm going to do because I don't know whether I want to. I work a full-time job. I've got like
Yeah.
a family, different things. I don't know whether I want to be selling lots and lots of cover sleeves on like eBay or something and having to print, get them either commercially printed or printing them off and sending things out in the mail. I just don't know whether I want to commit that sort of time.
Yeah.
But then at the same point, I'm happy to kind of like, give some away for people, but I don't know whether I want to just give away literally 5 or 6 years worth of work for just anyone to then take it upon themselves to resell on eBay, which
Right.
would, inevitably happen.
Well, I think well, also who knows about like copyright issues that could arise.
Yeah, there's kind of like that to it as well.
Well, one thing you could do definitely they won't solve the reselling issue, but maybe to make sure the load's not too bad, you could do like a limited like only 20 are gonna be sold. That's like a
Yeah,
just to limit the influx.
yeah. No, I'm throwing around a few ideas with it, but yeah, we'll see how it goes. I might just put a limited number up on kind of like eBay of certain games and just see what sort of kind of like feedback I get from it. But it's not going to happen, anytime soon. I'm just trying to kind of like build a bit of a following to it. And people seem really interested in my collection of stuff as well, which wasn't the original intention. It was just to put my covers up, but people seem really interested in this huge library of games that I've got as well. So I've been putting a few pictures of my game collection up as well, which is good.
Well, I think also one issue you might run into though selling them is shipping, just because a lot of it, I'm guessing, would have to be out of country.
Yeah, I mean, I just don't know what sort of demand outside Europe you'd have because obviously the American cases were so different.
Yeah, that's a good point, actually.
To PAL cases, I've already had people messaging me asking me if I've done NTSC cases, which I think how long it took me to do the 400 or so UK ones, whether I want to commit to making 700 and something American cases or not is another matter. Yeah.
That's a good point, actually.
Yeah.
Sorry guys, I'm back. I didn't really talk for a little bit because I wanted you guys to continue your conversation, but yeah, I guess I'm back, and I kind of like what you do with the Nintendo boxes and cases and stuff like that. And I'm sorry if this is like really awkward now, but yeah.
That's all good.
No, thanks.
I was talking about the covers and everything. About like if he could sell them or whatever, and the logistics of all that.
Yeah, we've had quite the in-depth conversation about it, which I do appreciate. So
Oh, it's just nice to whenever you have a passion or a hobby, being able to talk about it and stuff is always nice.
yeah, no, definitely.
I think it's pretty cool though that you're like well, that's the cool thing about like retro gaming and all that in the community. Is there's so many like little things, and each console has its collectors in each region. That it's just cool how many like different hobbies are inside this hobby. And,
Oh
like,
yeah, no, definitely. Like I really, value the people that have gone out there and translated kind of, those niche Japanese titles, which were never going to come to America. They were never going to come to Europe. And, a community has gone out there and actually translated them. I bought a translated cart of a game on the Super Nintendo called Clock Tower, and it's a horror game. And I'd heard about it. I wanted to play it, but obviously it was a Japanese-only game. And, there was this fan translation out there. Someone had put it on a cartridge. I bought it, and I absolutely loved the game. It was such a unique game because it was a horror game, but it had, multiple endings. It might have had, 12, 20 different endings. And you could go into that game and you could complete the game in 5 minutes, but it'd be a terrible ending, and you had this guy chasing you the whole game, and it was so much suspense. But the fact that, a community had been out there, translated that game, it gave me so much kind of like pleasure to actually go out and play it. So.
Right. And it's just like, it's amazing how like such a niche can still have products like that. And that is one benefit of retro game collecting being so big, is that those little side things that you want done get done, like translations and homebrews and all that.
Yeah.
Like I always think about like the Vectrex.
I might have to Google that to remind myself.
If you've ever seen the Vectrex before, it'll look very familiar. It's a niche like console. It didn't make it very full.
Okay. I don't think I've ever seen that.
Well, the Vectrex is like this niche console. It's cool because it's a TV built in with it.
Yeah, I'm
with
looking
vector
at it
graphics. But I always just think like something like that is so niche, but yet there's still homebrews coming out and a community. Like all these obscure little consoles have communities, which is always fascinating.
Yeah, it's just when the community grows to a certain level, it's like with retro gaming now, especially on the Super Nintendo, you're actually having some of the big companies republishing games, for these consoles. I know Data East put out a Joe and Matt collection on the Super Nintendo, a few years ago with the 3 kind of like Joe and Matt games on it. So, I don't know whether that's a good thing or bad thing, kind of like these official games, coming out again. It poses an interesting question for a collector of whether you include them in a collection or not.
Yeah.
It's like trying to collect for a console now when you have like that strictly limited games bringing out kind of retro games on a cartridge for like the Switch or something, and it's just an old game from the 16-bit era just put on a cartridge on a limited run of a few hundred. Do you class that as kind of like an official game in a collection for that system or not? It's a tough question.
That is a good question. Yeah. Okay, it's so rare that it's like, at what point?
Yeah.
That's a good question. I never thought about that really, but they're pretty limited. So it's like, how many people really even get the chance to buy them?
Yeah. And how many people actually kind of like,
Yeah, right. It's like how many people get it, and the game's not, people aren't likely to resell it maybe. Like a lot of people are going to hold on to it, so it kind of kills any chance
Yeah, and I think as well it is kind of like a bit of a cash in for kind of developers. The fact that you're taking this game, putting it on a cartridge for a new system. There's nothing new on it at all. You're doing a limited run at an inflated price, and it's yeah. But anyway,
Well, it kind of makes me think about like the old Atari games or Commodore 64 games where it was literally a guy in his garage who sold it in his town to a few people. Like, at what point, like, is the game just so rare and so little was sold initially?
yeah.
Just like, at what point was the game like so little manufacturer that should it even really count?
Mm.
Well, I don't know if either of you have any more topics written down.
No, I'm about.
I was just gonna say I don't really have any more. We kind of covered all of them.
Oh, nice. I think we probably covered all the topics we need to today, although we'll definitely want you back on at some point.
No, it's been honestly, it's been really nice for me to come and chat with you guys. I really appreciate being invited on, and yeah, thanks.
Oh, definitely. And good luck with that business too. Like,
Yeah.
if you do turn into a business, of course. But either way, good luck with the passion and growing growing your audience on Instagram.
No, thanks for that.
Oh, definitely. Well, we usually end these shows talking about what we all got plans, like what we're planning on doing coming up. So, what plans you got coming up this in life in general?
Do you want me to go first?
Yeah.
I would like to finally finish Paper Mario, which would be nice. It's been a nice little game, but life in general, just work. I've got my son's third birthday in September, so that's going to be a kind of like big thing. We've just bought a horse for my daughter, so that's kind of like taking up quite a lot of my time as well. Nice. So it's just kind of like parent things, and like I say, hopefully completing Paper Mario soon.
Do you have a stable on your property, or?
We've just got some land, a few fields and things, a few miles away, so it's fine.
Nice. So how about you, Nostalgia?
Nothing much, man. Just gonna, keep on working out, doing my job, doing my thing, and hopefully either get a new original Xbox controller or get a Dreamcast. But YouTube-wise, I'm hoping to get a video out next week.
Nice. My plans, I'm gonna record a bunch of podcasts this week, and I'm gonna work my night crew job. And after this podcast, I am going to go pass out in bed.
If you get that Dreamcast, you must get Skies of Arcadia. That's such a good game.
Yeah, I definitely got a list of games I'm trying to get for the Dreamcast.
Definitely, Dreamcast is dope.
Yeah.
No, definitely. Well, this podcast, just a heads up, it will be out in the coming days. And then I know it'll at least be out on my channel. I'll follow you on Instagram. That way, my channel's linked in the bio, so check it out. And I'll message you when it's public.
Okay, no, that's great. Okay. Yeah, no, thanks for that. And thanks, guys. No, that was good. I think that went well.
Sweet, definitely. And wow, we'd love to have you on again in the future.
Yeah, no, I'm happy to come back on at some stage. That'd be really fun. So
sweet. Well, gentlemen, you have a good one.
Yeah, thanks, mate.
You too.